Okay, hey everyone. Thanks for stopping by again. This is part 2 of what I put the video up yesterday. Said I was going to record it this morning. Now it's like 10 o'clock. I'm a little behind. Woke up, didn't have any milk. Had to go buy a gallon of milk so I could eat cereal for breakfast this morning. Probably not a good thing for me to eat for breakfast, but anyway. I think I'm going to start eating it with water because good grief, milk is expensive. Water on cereal, that didn't even sound good. But anyway, we're going to continue where we left off. I have 3 more passages I want to look at. I'm going to read Titus 3 and 9 again, just so we start there, because that's where we ended, and this is a part 2. It's a sequel, continuation. But avoid foolish questions and genealogies and contentions and strivings about the law, for they are unprofitable and vain. I didn't read this yesterday, but the note in my study Bible says, refers in this case to the law of Moses, but could refer to any philosophy or religious ramblings. In other words, anything but the cross of Christ. As it pertains to salvation, the notes don't say that, but I feel like I need to add that for clarity. But I think the idea that I was hinting at yesterday definitely applies. We're not being profitable. We're being unprofitable and vain when we argue and bicker and just stir up garbage and crap. And somebody's going to get mad I said crap there. I'm going to endeavor to say trash or garbage in the future. But we stir all the junk up. It doesn't make us look good. It doesn't make Christ look good. It doesn't make the church look good. It doesn't make Christianity look good. And we're not winning souls. We're not seeing converts. We're just creating endless strife. James says in chapter 1, 19 and 20, and if you remember yesterday or in the last video, because I recorded it yesterday, so for me it's yesterday, but maybe you're not watching this right when it's posted. So in the last video, in part 1, I brought up Proverbs 15, 1 and 2, and then also verse 18. And I mentioned that James in the book of James harkens back to that. Chapter 1, verse 19. Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. For the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God. So, regardless of whatever your intent is with the strife you're stirring up, with the argument you're trying to make, with the point you're trying to force across, whatever the case might be, if you're not just, and again, this is more focused on being contentious on social media, but this all applies to real life as well. If I'm not just saying, look, I'm not coming to argue, I'm just going to present the other side of the argument you're making or you're arguing against, just so it's out there. Hey, I'm going to throw my 2 cents in and then I'm done. I'm not going to argue with you anymore. I'm just going to make a statement and I'm leaving. If we're not doing that, and you can do that in the wrong spirit too, because I can show up and be like, okay, this is the room, I've read it, these are what all the comments are saying, let me post the most ignorant thing I can to make everybody mad, and then I'll just deactivate my Facebook for a couple months, and I won't have to deal with any of the backlash, and these people will all get super violently angry at each other and tear each other apart, and it'll be hilarious. If I do that, I am wrong for that, because I'm not trying to reach a solution. I'm not trying to point people to Christ. I'm just trying to stir up the crap so I can laugh at it. And that's not working in the righteousness of God either. But when I get so involved in the debate, when I get so laser focused on winning the argument, on being right, on proving the other person wrong, on this person's an idiot and everyone has to see it, I am maybe not necessarily immediately becoming wrathful, but I've been in some heated Facebook arguments, and you just get madder and madder and madder, and eventually you're screaming, you're yelling. If you're gotta drive, you have road rage from the second you turn your car on. Like, it affects your whole day because of something one person said in a comment online, and maybe they're just as mad, and maybe they're not mad at all because they don't really actually care. They're just trying to make you mad, because if they can make you mad, you'll blow your witness and then they win. And that's ultimately the primary reason why we shouldn't engage in lengthy debates like that online, because eventually something will be said that upsets you to the point where you get angry, and once you're angry, the wrath of man does not work the righteousness of God. There is a righteous anger you can have where something is just so ungodly that it just ignites a fire in you, and you have to take action against it or speak against it or whatever. And one, righteous indignation is never targeted at an individual in my experience. It's always at an idea, or at hearing somebody teach false, for example, and that upsetting you. I don't ever really want to come against that person beyond saying they have no business teaching anyone about the gospel or Christianity. And that's not to say that maybe one day that won't change. I'm not trying to condemn them when I say that, but what they are teaching does not need to be taught. And if that is what they believe and choose to pursue, then they have no business teaching that, because it's not beneficial for them or anyone they're teaching long term, in terms of eternity. Maybe short term beneficial for them because they rake in money. Their bills get paid, and there's a pastor. I have a lot of respect for him. His name is Torrance Nash. He pastors and does evangelistic work. And he said in a sermon one time, when he was preaching a chapel in our Bible college, I believe it may have been at a crossfire service one night, but he made the statement, I think it was one of his cousins came up to him and was like, "Man, you got the easiest job ever. I think I'm going to have to go into ministry." And he said, "I know what ministry is. I know what ministry entails. I know the standard God holds me to, and how accountable I am and to God and to the people I'm preaching and teaching to." And he said, I understand that it's not the easiest job in the world." So I just kind of looked at him and was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, man. You get up there like 2-3 times a week, talk for 30 minutes to an hour, and then you get to go home and chill. So I could do that. I might start. You collect a pretty good check from that, right?" And he said he was just dumbfounded with this family member of his who has no concept of what ministry actually is. And he said, I couldn't really be mad at him because he's not a Christian, so he's kind of making statements like he's supposed to be. He's like, it just blew me away that was what he thought. And he's like, I just looked him in the face and was like, no. He said, I was definitely indignated. He's like, and I would think righteously so. He said, because he was literally saying he was going to make a mockery of what preaching and teaching is. And, he said, as a believer, I can't allow that to happen. So I'm not saying I can stop everyone, but this man, I was like, if that's why you want to do it, you have no business doing it. And he said his family member just kind of laughed and was like, man, I was messing with you. Like, you don't got to be that serious about it. He said, but as a Christian, you do. And so there is a righteous